I'm Justin from Puppies and I'm here with Dr Alicia, and we're going to be going through some of the most commonly asked questions by new dog owners. But first off, tell us a bit about yourself.
My name is Alicia. I've been working as a vet for the past 5 to 6 years and I'm loving it. And I particularly like small animal surgeries, and I have a 3-legged cat named Kiki.
Awesome. Fantastic. Let's get into some questions. Our puppies are able to go to their new homes somewhere between 8 and 9 weeks old. What age should puppies be going to their new homes, and is it okay to let them go earlier than that?
So 8 to 9 weeks is okay. We generally recommend between 8 to 10 weeks, and the reason for that is so we can give them a chance to socialize and learn from the litter mate. So it's really important not to take them home earlier than that.
As much as we want to wrap our dogs in bubble wrap, we can't, and things happen. Should I get pet insurance?
It's always safer too, or I usually tell my clients you can also just set up a different bank account and just put money there regularly, and so that way you always have funds for emergencies and you don't have to worry about paying the excess fee like you would have to with insurance company. But yeah, always safer too.
There's a lot of pet insurance companies out there at the moment, and it's sort of really hard to compare them.
Yeah.
And a lot of people ask, like, what should I be looking for when I'm selecting a pet insurance company?
Yeah, so mainly the cover, because most basic insurance policy would cover for things like accidents and emergencies, and you definitely want to be covered for that because that's usually what costs a lot. But if you want to be covered for every single health problem, make sure to get the more comprehensive insurance. And also keep in mind with insurance, there's always going to be excess fee, which is a set fee that you have to pay every time you make a claim. So make sure to check on that as well.
Flea and worm treatments.
Yeah.
Everyone's quick to act when they see fleas or they see worms.
Yeah.
But then when you don't see fleas and worms, you sort of get a little bit lazy and you sort of become a little bit complacent with it. Should I be treating my puppy for fleas and worms even if I don't see any?
Yeah, definitely. So the flea and worming treatment is mainly used for preventative. So because fleas can live everywhere in the environment, on your carpet and things like that. So you want to make sure that your pets are protected from fleas and worms. So you don't want to just start treating when they have it, because prevention is always better than cure. And besides, you don't always see fleas on dogs, especially with the fluffy ones. So just because you don't see fleas, it doesn't mean they don't have them. So yeah, always still to do it regularly.
I feel like with this one, there's some mixed information about it out there, and I actually don't even know how to answer it properly when people ask.
Yeah.
Should I be brushing my dog's teeth?
Yeah, so brushing their teeth is good to maintain their dental health, but it's really hard to, because most dogs wouldn't tolerate it, like having things shoved in the mouth. So if you do want to try, you better do it when they're young, so because otherwise they just wouldn't let you when they're fully grown. But if your dog wouldn't tolerate it, don't stress about it. There are other ways to keep their teeth clean, like dental kibbles and dental treats and things like that. So you can try, but most of the time you won't be able to. It's fine.
They're not going to be a fan of it.
No, never.
We get this question asked by a lot of times by kids.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the kids themselves have a few missing teeth.
Yeah.
Will my puppy lose their puppy teeth?
Yes.
And when?
Yeah, so they have, well, just like us, they are born with a set of baby teeth that normally start to fall out when they're about 4 months. And by 6 months old, they have the full set of adult teeth. So yeah, they will lose their teeth, it's normal.
This is one that can sometimes really worry people.
Yeah.
We've got like, not the best model here because she doesn't have tears.
Yeah.
But sometimes they have tears underneath their eyes, and people get really worried about that. Is that something to sort of be concerned about?
Yeah, no, not at all. You would probably notice it more in the light colored hair, because the tear can stain the hair a bit brown around the eyes, well, under the eyes I should say, but it's nothing to worry about. It's not a health problem. It's more of a look thing that people worry about, but it's normal. It's fine. Yeah.
And this one, I'll be honest, it's not the first time somebody's called just before rushing their puppy to the local vet.
Yeah.
My puppy's heartbeat is a lot faster than mine. Is that normal or is there something wrong?
Yeah, so that's completely normal. So dogs, especially puppies, have higher heart rates than us. It can be anywhere between 120 to 140 beats per minute. And when they're excited, when they're playing around, it's always going to be higher than that. So completely normal.
A lot of our puppies go to homes with other pets, and making sure that they get along with the other pets isn't always the only concern.
Yeah.
So one that we get asked a lot is, we already have a cat at home. Can my puppy catch anything from the cat, considering that my puppies only had their first vaccination?
So most viruses and bacteria don't transmit between species. So I wouldn't worry too much about that, but they can get worms and fleas and more of the parasite things from the cat. So as long as your puppy is fully up to date with the flea and worming treatment, then it should be fine.
There's nothing like taking a puppy out to the dog park, especially for the first time.
Yeah.
But when can I start to do that? Like, what age can I start to take them out?
So after the third vaccination, we normally say between 10 to 14 days after they've had the third vaccination, so until they're fully vaccinated, because that's when they're fully protected against things like parvovirus, distemper, and hepatitis, and that sort of stuff. You can start socializing them earlier in a safe environment, and that means if you know someone, a friend or a relative that has a fully vaccinated dog, it's fine. Puppy school is also fine because everyone would have to be healthy and vaccinated for that. But to the dog park, just to be safe, just give it 2 weeks after they had the full vaccination.
Yeah, puppy school's a hard one because they need to be young.
That's right, yeah. But with puppy school, because everyone would need to be healthy and they would have to have their first vaccination, it's safe still to do it, yeah.
Puppies go to the new homes after receiving one vaccination. Yeah. So when is the puppy fully vaccinated?
So puppies need 3 vaccinations. The first one is usually done when they're about 6 to 8 weeks. So the next one, so that one is usually done by the breeder. And then the next one is usually between 10 to 12 weeks. And the last one, the third one, is done when they're about 14 to 16 weeks normally.
You wouldn't think possum poo would come up in many conversations, but for us it does. A common question is that we have possums in the area and there's possum poo in my backyard. Is it bad if my puppy eats the possum poo, or what should I do if I notice my puppy's eating some possum poo?
Yeah, no, I've never seen any problem arising from puppies eating possum's poo. It's just gross mainly. But as long as you, again, more the parasite side of things, so as long as your puppies are fully wormed, then it should be okay.
Sometimes it's difficult to see how much water my puppy's drinking. So how do I tell if they're drinking enough?
So generally dogs can eat anywhere between 90 to 100 ml per their kilogram of body weight. So for example, a 10-kilo dog can drink up to 1 liter per day. But that obviously varies depending on what food they're on. So if they're more on a wet food type of diet, then obviously, because it's got a lot of high moisture content, they're not going to be drinking as much. When it's a hot day and if they've had a big run, for example, they're always going to be drinking a bit more. So that's the rough idea, but it varies a lot,
We all want our puppy to be feeling perfect all the time, but it's not always the case. What are some sort of telltale signs that I know that there's something wrong with my puppy's health?
So it's usually obvious when a puppy is sick because they're not going to be their normal happy self. So you want to look out for signs like vomiting, diarrhea, not as active, lethargic, and that sort of stuff. Now, vomiting and diarrhea can be common in puppies because, they just eat everything off the ground. But generally, as long as they're still happy and playing and that sort of stuff, that's fine because they have really sensitive stomach as a puppy. So even a bit of stress, a bit of diet change can cause a bit of vomiting and diarrhea. So I wouldn't worry too much as long as they're still happy and playing and active.
Okay, awesome. We recommend recommend families take their puppies to their local vet in the first few days of bringing them home, even if everything seems fine. What are things that you look at when they bring their puppies in, even if everything's fine, just to say hello?
So we do a general checkup. So we check the eyes, the ears, the teeth, and we also listen to their heart as well. Make sure there's no hernias or any abnormalities, and make sure we ask the owner as well, make sure they're feeding the right thing, and make sure they're up to date with the flea and worming treatment. And we also answer any questions they might have.
Some puppies have floppy ears, like our little friend here, while some puppies have pointy ears that stick straight up. Is it true that dogs with sort of floppier ears are more prone to ear infections? And what are some of the signs of an ear infection?
Well, a little bit, because if you have a floppy ears like this, there's going to be less airflow in and out of the ear, so it's always going to be a bit moist in there, so that can make them a bit more prone to ear infection. The signs to look out for would be smelly discharge or smelly like gunk coming out from the ears, and the dog usually will be scratching a lot, scratching their ears, shaking their head, and that sort of stuff.
It's amazing how fast they develop from such, it goes so quickly from not really being able to do anything to 8 weeks old now to as they get older and they sort of, start learning new commands and everything like that. At what age does my puppy actually become an adult?
So we normally say generally by 18 months, they're considered to be adults.
When everything seems fine, vet visits can sort of be few and far between. A lot of people just don't feel like there's a need to go to the vet if everything seems fine. So when my dog's an adult, how often should they be seeing a vet, assuming everything's fine?
So once a year for the yearly vaccination, because it's important to make sure they're up to date with the vaccination against parvovirus, distemper, hepatitis, and also kennel cough. But it's not just for that, because it gives us a chance to obviously check the puppy, so we can pick up on things that you might not notice before, so we can address any health problem earlier.
For us, we've got flu vaccinations, but not all of us get our yearly flu vaccination, myself included. How important is it to remember to vaccinate our dogs yearly, even if everything seems fine?
It's really important because, again, the vaccination is a prevention, so you don't want to wait until the dog's sick. And what it does is it covers them for things like parvovirus, distemper, hepatitis, and also the 2 strands of kennel cough, so it makes them less likely to catch them. And it's also a chance for us to do a general checkup, as I mentioned earlier, just to make sure that you're not missing on anything, like any health problem that they might have.
This one's definitely one that I've been guilty of. Nobody wants to admit when their dog's overweight. How do I tell if my dog is overweight?
So that's a good question, and we have this nice little chart here that can help us, I guess, explain how to tell if your dog's overweight. So there's this thing called body condition score, and we rate it from 1 to 5, sometimes 1 to 9 as well, but this chart here is between 1 to 5, and you want the dogs to be roughly around here, so around 3 out of 5, and that's ideal body weight. So the things you want to look out for, so if you're looking at the dog from the side, then you want to see the silhouette of the waist, like in that picture here. So obviously if you can't see any waist at all, the dog's too fat, but obviously if the shape of the waist is really prominent, they might be too skinny. And you can also obviously just like if you run your hands through their rib cage, you want to be able to feel a little bit of rib, but not, as you can see here on this picture here, the ribs are like sort of very prominent, and that's not good. It means the dog's too skinny. But if you can't feel anything, just fat, then the dog's too fat.
Okay. Now, the feeling's really good, I guess, for puppies like this with curly coats.
Feeling is really good because you can't really see much because of the hair. Now, if you're looking at them from the top, same thing. Basically, you want to be able to see a little bit of waistline. So if you can't see anything, if it's just like a piece of sausage, then that's too fat. But obviously if you see the waistline really prominently and the ribs are sort of poking out, then that's too skinny. Yeah, so it's not so much, because people ask me all the time, what should the weight of my puppy or my dog be? So we don't really go by the weight, like there's no magic number, but it's more the body condition score, and yeah, and
okay.
You just want them to be around the ideal weight.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Push everyone to never let their adult dog get overweight because of the negative health effects of the weight.
Yeah.
But we don't really give the same advice for a puppy, because sometimes I think a bit of puppy fat isn't so bad.
Yeah.
Am I giving the wrong advice, or is there an age where a bit of puppy fat is okay?
Yeah, no, a little bit is fine, especially in puppies, because they usually use up all the energy and the food to grow, to get bigger. But you don't want to be overfeeding puppies as well, because you don't want them to grow too quick in a short period of time, because that's not good on the joints. But I guess that's more important for large breed dogs that obviously grows a lot when they're a puppy. But yeah, a little bit of puppy fat is okay. The obesity is more of a problem when they're fully grown.
And in terms of socialization, so a lot of families now understand the importance of socialization. Is it just important for them to socialize with other dogs, or is it important for them to socialize with other people as well?
Definitely other people as well, because you don't want them to grow up into a dog that's aggressive or very protective and very shy around other people. So both other dogs and other people.
In regards to the age of our puppies socializing,
Yeah.
some people think it's better to sort of start straight away as early as possible, and other people think it's better to just wait, let them sort of get settled in and everything like that before actually socializing them.
Yeah.
So what age is a good age to start socializing them?
Yeah, so the golden sort of window is actually, well, anywhere between 10 to 12 weeks when they're still a puppy, because that's where they learn most things. So you do want to start socializing them early, but again, because by then they wouldn't be fully vaccinated yet, so you just want to make sure it's a safe environment, so only with healthy, fully vaccinated dogs.
And then sometimes we also get asked, and this is a really common one actually, my dog's 3 years old and it hasn't really socialized with other dogs.
Yeah.
Is it too old for them to socialize? Like, is there a cutoff age where you think, okay, well, if you haven't socialized by now, maybe we shouldn't socialize you?
Yeah, so look, I mean, they're never too old to be socialized, but it is going to be harder obviously when they're 3 years old and when they're a fully grown dog, because they would have developed these habits and, I mean, personality and that sort of stuff. But it's never too old, but you might have to do like a proper training and that sort of stuff if it's not as easy to socialize them.
So this is a question we get asked so often, and it's a bit hard to sort of answer it without sounding really cold.
Yeah.
But what should I do when, just say my puppy's at the dog park and they're scared of a bigger dog and the other dog's not really acting aggressive at all?
Yeah.
Should I still pick up my dog and cuddle them, or should I leave them on the floor and let them sort of get used to the other dog?
Yeah, so as long as you're sure that the other dog isn't being aggressive, then you don't actually want to pick them up straight away, because that's actually encouraging the, well, I guess, anxious behavior. Because then your dog's gonna think, oh, whenever I cry and that sort of stuff, I'm gonna get rewarded by, petting and picking up and that sort of stuff. So as long as you're sure the other dog's not being aggressive, it's actually good to let them on the floor for a little bit, just so they can learn that, it's fine, the dog's not going at you, it just wants to play. But obviously if it gets too much, then you can pick them up and calm them then.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I haven't been giving completely wrong advice.
No.
There's so many more questions that we get asked, but that's all we have time for today.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for coming down and answering our questions. I'm sure this will be such an insight to people like looking at getting their first dog, or that have already brought their first dog home, or have a bit of experience but sort of just want a bit of a reminder with some questions.
Of course, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.